This programme is brought to you by UCKG.
Coming up in the show tonight, how would you deal with the anger felt after years of abuse by those who were supposed to protect you? Who can you talk to when you feel like no one will believe you? And when the pain becomes too much to bear, can you blame yourself for asking why these bad things happened to you? Stay tuned for tonight's guest, who struggled both physically and mentally after years of abuse until she found God. Could God hold the answer to your problems too?
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. On tonight's Finding Answers, the topic is Tonight's Finding Answers is, why do bad things happen to me? If you want to know more about this, then please stay tuned, because right now we're going to go and show you a real life testimony. Someone who the power of faith was able to transform their lives around.
I had many problems growing up because my mum had me at a very young age, and like my dad, he was never part of my life. And when I was like 9 months old, my mum got into a relationship with, which is now my stepdad. And moving here to London, me and my stepdad didn't get along. Up to this day, I don't know what it was, but he just didn't like me. He would make sure like that there was a difference between me and my brother, where he would treat us very differently. And you know, my mum would always take his side just to prevent like arguments, because if she took my side, then that would cause more arguments and stuff like that. So growing up, I felt very like left out. I feel like the black sheep of the family. I always thought like I was a mistake from my mum's past. So when like I hit my teenage years, I started looking for that love and that attention elsewhere. So I got into the wrong sort of friendships, and those friendships caused me to have like my first boyfriend. And because I was innocent, and he was much older than me, and because he showed me that care and that love and attention I never had at home, so I fell into his arms and I made him my world in a way. And because obviously my parents didn't agree with it, once they found out, they explained to me like, oh, that I'm too young to have a boyfriend, so on. But I didn't listen to them, because in my eyes they were trying to like take away the only thing that made me happy. I had to end the relationship because there was no other way like we could be together. Literally, I felt like I lost who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was just going with the flow, I guess. I was just going like with what life gave me. Today, I can actually say that I love my life, because I can see everything has fallen into place. Like today, I don't feel the way I used to feel anymore inside. Today, I can say I have peace, I'm happy, I love who I am, I love who I'm becoming. I can say that today I have a great relationship with my family, with my brothers and sisters and my parents. Like me and my mum, we have like the closest relationship. I feel like I can tell her anything. I have conquered the job that I've always wanted, and I feel like I'm really growing in life. I'm 19 years old, but I feel like my life is coming into place, and I'm like fighting for what I want, and I feel like I can achieve anything because of the positivity that I have inside, and just the fact that I'm happy and I know I'm a strong person.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, that was someone who used their faith and achieved great results. Now, as I said about tonight's program is, why do bad things happen to me? And look, I'm going to stop, because maybe this is your problem. Maybe you hear voices. If you are this type of person who you hold this dark secret, you hear audible voices that tell you you're no good enough, you're not good enough. Why don't you end your life? Literally, like you're hearing my voice, these are voices you hear in your head. Maybe they're not voices, audible voices, but they are those thoughts that say to you, take your life. I'm not good enough. You will never make it. You will never be happy. This is why many people take their own lives. They end their lives because they don't know how to deal with these voices. They cope with these voices until it's too late. And the thing is, they never, Pastor Carlos, they never find a solution. They never find an answer to deal with these voices, right?
Exactly. And good evening to all the viewers. Good evening, Pastor Michael. Yes, it's true. There are so many people who have got, this kind of issue, this problem. They've been hearing voices, and these voices keep telling them, that they are not good enough, that they are not going to make it. They were born, to suffer like this. Mm-hmm. And they keep asking these questions. Am I ever going to be free from this? And we believe, of course, based on experiences that we have seen, testimonies, live testimonies that we have seen here, definitely we have seen there is a solution.
Pastor Carlos, people may be watching us now and then be thinking, you know what? This is crazy. This is things of horror movies. But in our experience, I'm sure in your experience, you've spoken to countless number of people mm-hmm. who hear voices and they come to you for help, right? And it's not they're not going crazy. We believe them because it's a spiritual problem, right?
Yes, and the thing is, you just touched a very important point, because some people, they think that they're getting crazy. Mm-hmm. Others, they even say, no, that's just something of your mind. These things don't really exist. But the truth is, they keep hearing voices. Yeah. And yes, it's true. We have spoken to a number, so many people, facing this kind of problems. People who used to face before, and they thought that they would never be free from that. But guess what? Today they are free.
Yeah, all through the power of faith. And we want to help you tonight. As I said, the title of tonight's topic is, why do bad things happen to me? And maybe for you, this is one of the things that happen to you, right? You hear these voices. We want to help you on tonight's program. Actually, we always say a prayer at the end of the program. And one prayer could be enough to end these voices that tell you end your life. That, keep telling you you're not good enough. And you keep listening to these voices. We here on Finding Answers, we understand what you're going through because it's a spiritual problem. And we know how to deal with spiritual problems. Maybe you think it's physical. It's just me. I've just had a bad day. You know what? I'm stressed out. This is normal for me. No, it's not normal for you. We want to help you rid yourself of these voices. And if you've tried lots of things like exercise to tire yourself out so then you can sleep, it doesn't work. Because if you are continually hearing these things, there's only one solution. That is faith in God. It's a spiritual problem, and the only way a spiritual problem can be tackled is through a spiritual solution, which is prayer. Now, going back to tonight's topic of why do bad things happen to me? My guest for this evening, she's only 18 years old still. 18, 19 years old. Still very young. But she's gone through a lot during her young life. Today she'll be sharing with you. Imagine being abused as a child. Imagine hearing voices. Imagine wanting to take your own life, holding grudges, and more. There are lots more. And she's going to tell you about this. And maybe this is your life. You start to think to yourself, you know what? Why do bad things happen to me? Why is it after I deal with one problem, another problem comes along, and then another one, and then another one? And your life has been full of problems, one after the other. It's just cycle and cycle of problems. Can I overcome this? Of course you can. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here telling you every single day on Finding Answers that there is a solution. And my guest for this evening will be sharing her story of what happened to her. But also, guess what? how faith helped her deal with every single one of them. I want you to stay tuned, all right, to tonight's program, because we're going to be helping you, whether you hear voices, whether, you're suicidal, whether you've had, abuse of any sort in your life, and it's led you to do unexplainable things you can't even imagine, or we can't imagine. But I can tell you, there is a solution. If you want our help, then please, you can give us a call right now. Someone will be on the other end of the line from our team to take your call, to listen to you, and also to pray for you. If you want to include your name in our prayer book, you can do that. The number's on your screen now. It's 0207 686 6300. 0207 686 6300. If you'd like to email us, you can email me, Michael. Send me your email and I will respond to you. I will answer your queries. The email address to send that email to is help@findinganswers.tv. That's help@findinganswers.tv. If you've missed our programs at all and you'd like to catch up and find out how our other guests have received help, then you can go to our YouTube channel. It's Finding Answers. Just search there, Finding Answers, and you'll be able to see our channel, and you can go through each program and see how faith has helped many others as well. If you want to send a tweet, then you can do so. It's Find Answers TV. The actual Twitter address is there at the bottom of the screen as well. Okay? So you can contact us in any number of ways throughout the program. Pastor Carlos, this person watching now, they are suicidal. They are drinking alcohol, knocking themselves out. They are self-harming. No matter the problem, is there a solution?
Definitely, there is a solution. And the proof of that is, the clouds of testimonies that we have brought here, every day, every night through this program. And we've been dealing, the truth is, in our work, in our spiritual mission, we've been helping a lot of people who had suicidal problems, people who had addiction problems, people who had various kind of problems, thinking that there was no way out. They heard other people telling them, sometimes people even say this is part of life, because look at what is happening to my brother, to my sister, to my family. Just today, in fact, I had the opportunity to help, to advise someone who exactly told me this, something similar, because said that the same problem that this person has been going through, she sees this is like a pattern in her family, because she saw this in the history of the family. She knows that this problem has been there and now is happening to her.
Right.
But obviously that I advised her, on what to do through the prayers, that we normally say, because this is how the person can be, can overcome the situation.
Mm-hmm. So if you say to yourself, my family are going through the same thing, I tell you, it's not hereditary, it's not normal. Stay with us, because after the break, we're going to teach you how faith, we're going to show you how faith can help you rid yourself of every single problem you are facing. We'll see you right after this break.
I was depressed for many years, but not anymore. And now it's my turn to help you lead a happier and healthier life.
Watch The Chrissy B Show on MyTV.
Melting polar ice caps, droughts, and rising sea levels. Climate change brings global disasters, and human activities are part of the problem. But people around the world are looking for ways to address the threat.
Watch Global 3000 on MyTV. The Day provides current news and affairs background analysis.
A growing number of migrants crossed the Serbian-Hungarian border.
There is no doubt about it.
Understand top stories, get professional expertise, statistics and video footage that will give a full insight into the world's most recent issues. Get information in its most complete form. Watch The Day on MyTV. Meet the amazing SUV Jaguar, the stylish Fiat, a vintage VW, a sporty Honda, and the Green Smart ED. Drive it, test it, know it. We have cars for any taste. Explore vehicles and their features with our weekly show. Watch Drive It on MyTV.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, tonight's topic is why do bad things happen to me? I would like you to meet my guest for this evening. Her name is Ines Kiala.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Ines, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Pastor Carlos, welcome to the sofa.
It's a pleasure.
So, Ines, you are only 18 years old?
Yes.
18. And you've gone through what, many people would dream, wouldn't think of going through these problems. And it all started at a very young age when you were abused.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Could you, without naming people, how old were you when this all started?
I think the first time it happened, I was just about to turn 7. And then it happened for about 2 years, so it stopped until it only stopped when I got to the age of 9.
Right.
So then that's when it all stopped. But then as it was happening, I wasn't really understanding what was going on. And a lot of the times I found myself just mentally blocking out. And then I became very depressed because I started to find out, these are things that, aren't really supposed to happen to you. And you watch these TV shows like Law and Order and you start to see, whoa, they're now called victims. So then I started to have this label of a victim. And then I started to hold even more anger against the person who
was this someone very close to like a family friend or relative?
Family member.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I grew up with a lot of anger, especially towards that person. And then that anger kind of divided from that person to my parents as well, because they had no idea it was happening at the time.
Right.
I didn't tell anyone about it. I just remained very closed.
Now, did that affect you in, let's say, your schooling at all? Did you, some people in abuse, they have a close up or they just turn wild. Mm-hmm. How that affect you?
For me, I became very closed. So I was a kid that had a very, inquiring mind. I like to ask questions. I like to find out why was this like that and why was that like this. And as a few years after the abuse happened, I kind of just kept myself to myself. Yes, I became very, not even reserved, just literally introverted. I started to become bullied at school. I became very insecure about how I looked. I was always a chubby kid, so yeah, but then it came to a time where it started to affect the way I was eating. So I was eating a lot, then I wouldn't eat at all. Sometimes I'd come home from school, I'd go straight to bed. I wouldn't speak to anyone. I wouldn't communicate. I wouldn't let anyone know how my day was. And then because I was getting bullied at school as well, I just felt like I had no friends at all.
Did family kind of suspect something's wrong, or did they kind of bring it down to, you're just a teen?
First it was, something's a bit odd with her. And then they found out about the bullying, so then they thought, it's because of the bullying.
Right.
So then when they did find out it was all of that, they tried their best to help me and to ask me, how are you?
Did you speak up about it and tell them?
I spoke up about the bullying,
right,
but never about the abuse, never about anything else.
Okay.
It was just about the bullying.
Now, tonight's topic is, why do bad things happen to me? Now, that in itself is a bad thing, right? Being sexually abused. Any kind of abuse is bad. But then you're going to start to hear now what it led to. And there are lots of different things that for your average person, it will drive them to suicide or a mental home or drink and take drugs or whatever it is. So please, just stay with us. Ines, what happened to you? What started going wrong after this?
So after that, I saw the world as a very negative place. I became very pessimistic, and as a child, you're supposed to think, the world's my oyster. And then I started to think, actually, the world is against me. And I didn't seek any help. I didn't receive any help because I never sought for it. And then, so I became very introverted and became very depressed. I used to like going outside, but then it came from not going to, family gatherings, and then it became to staying in bed literally all day. I would just sleep.
Really? You would skip school?
I would go to school, but I found myself just staying inside. Okay. The kids would play outside, and I'll find an excuse to stay inside during break. Mm-hmm. So that way I wouldn't really communicate with other kids, and I started to just close myself in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me other things that started to happen to you.
So yeah, I became very depressed. I became very angry, and a lot of the times I didn't know how to handle my anger. So I found myself just coming home from school and just punching walls. Really? Or throwing my teddy bears. I didn't understand what was going on. And they weren't even tantrums. A lot of the times it was just pure anger that I couldn't control.
Would you take it out on other kids at school or maybe against your family?
I would sometimes. So I started to kind of make friends. And as I made friends, I started to see that they liked a certain side of me. So they liked me when I was a bit more rude, a bit more aggressive. So the next person that they were picking on, I would pick on them too, and then I'd be like, yeah, they're like this, they're like that, and I'd really like that.
So instead of you being now the victim or being bullied, now you're the perpetrator.
Exactly.
Pastor Carlos, we see here the pattern. We're seeing things starting to develop. It's one negative thing that open the doors for other negative things to happen.
Yes, especially because she, like she mentioned, she became very reserved because she wouldn't speak about her problem, right? And I even was wondering here why she wouldn't, mention this to the family. Yeah. How can a kid, suffer in this silence like this at the age of? You said that you reached 9, yeah. Definitely, because you see, becoming so reserved as she was, sometimes. It is even worse than when the person,
explodes.
Speaks. Exactly, because it's like a bomb. It's like a time bomb there.
The worse it gets, the more you hold it in, mm-hmm. the worse it gets when it does actually come out, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah, and it makes the person, I believe, depressed, mm-hmm. right?
And Ines, tell me about other things that happen to you, because this is a pattern that normally happens when you have male or female children or adults that are abused. They start to get into relationships, or they start having these negative thoughts, like the example that I gave in the beginning. These thoughts start coming. Normally they're sexualized thoughts, right? Thoughts that, wow, what's going on? They don't know how to handle these thoughts. Did that happen in your case?
Yeah, definitely. So I started to have a deep hatred for men, literally just the whole male gender. And then I started to look towards women, and I find myself feeling kind of stimulated as I looked at certain pictures of women. So then I kind of entertained those thoughts, and I thought, women aren't that bad. And then I kind of just kept those thoughts inside of me, and they'll grow from thoughts into literally desires and intentions. And I dwelled into a realm that was not what I know didn't feel right. So
boys or men were disgusting for you.
Yeah.
You started to have an attraction for females. Mm-hmm. Having those thoughts, some people may say, it's natural, it's normal, but in your case, you have those thoughts. What did you think when you had those thoughts?
When I had those thoughts, I knew that it wasn't natural, only because I knew why I was looking at them the way I did. I knew because, well, you know, this happened to me because he was a guy. So I feel like all men are like that.
Right.
So I started to stem away from men and go towards women because I felt more comfortable with them. And only because I closed off men completely from my mind, from my life. And I thought, this has to be for me because men have treated me like this. Or, yeah.
Was pornography involved at all?
Yeah, it was. So I was kind of made to watch pornography by my abuser. Yeah, so one time they sat me down and just made me watch that. And before bed, sometimes there'll be certain cartoons that'll be on the TV, and I know I wasn't supposed to watch them, but with pornography, it's something like once you start, it's kind of hard to stop, or because it stimulates a certain part of your mind, you think, okay, this is kind of interesting. So I kept watching it, and then...
Was there a time, sorry to jump in, was there a time when you started watching it by yourself?
Yeah, there was. So it came from, I think, one time I was at a sleepover, and we realized that at certain times of the night, so 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, there'd be certain channels that would go from normal daytime TV to inappropriate content.
Yeah.
So then I started to, sneak to the living room to watch it. And then as I had my own TV in my own room, I kind of just started to wake up in the middle of the night because I found myself literally just waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to sleep or having attacks, and I'd watch the inappropriate content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any other negative things happen? Was there like a pattern? Did things get worse or a continuation of negative things happen to you?
Things got worse. So as I became very depressed and I wasn't socializing with anyone, I wasn't telling anyone what my feelings were, I started to find myself hearing voices like you were saying in the beginning as well. So I'd sometimes be walking down in the street. It wouldn't be dark. It wouldn't be anything like that. I wouldn't be scared. It would be a good time in the day. And I'd find myself hearing someone calling my name. And it went from hearing someone call my name, from hearing noises in my house while I was alone. So I'd hear loud bangs.
So there was no one in your house?
No one in my house. And I'd hear things knocking. I'd hear like footsteps. It was absolutely insane. And I thought I was losing my mind.
You know, sometimes, depending on the house that you live in, especially, old houses, you had the creaky floorboards or the pipes. This was more than just the normal old house making noise. It was literally someone's walking in the house.
Yeah, I would hear like the chair moving, literally just moving across the floor. And my floor was wood, so I could hear it just screeching across the floor. And I'd go into the place where I know the chair was, and it didn't move one bit. So I'd think, okay, this is not me. But I'd still kind of just hold it in and think, maybe, because I watch scary movies sometimes, so maybe I just, record a memory. So it's just normal, it's whatever. And then I started to see shadows during the night. I wouldn't be able to sleep. From a very, very young age, I wouldn't be able to sleep with the light off. I would always have to have the light on. So in the corridor, I would always have to have it on. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to sleep well.
How did you explain that to your family? Having the lights off to now, all of a sudden having the lights on. What did you say?
They knew from about the age of 9, because they would realize that I would go in the middle of the night, turn on the corridor light, go back to bed.
Okay.
So they started to, before they went to bed, just leave it on.
And you did that because you saw the shadows in your room?
I saw the shadows in my room. I think that something was under my bed, and it was more than just the boogeyman. It became, there is something under my bed. I feel like it's going to come out. And then it happened so that I started to feel things touching me at night.
Really?
I started to fight in my sleep. Like I'd wake up with my fists literally clenched, and I feel enraged, like I just came out of a fight. Sometimes I feel like something was touching me really inappropriately, and I really felt like I was losing my mind.
Was there any point at all where you prayed? God, if you exist, if you are there, please help me. Did you believe in God at this time at all?
I grew up in the church, so I knew that if there was this mass of people going to a building for a particular reason, I had to think, okay, to some extent, it's got to be real. So then I believed in some sort of higher power, but I never really understood it as anything more than a higher power.
Okay. I'm going to stop you there. We're going to go for a break now. If you have experienced any one of these things or anything else that in your head, you say, you know what, this is not normal. It's not right. But I can't explain why these things are happening to me. Then stay with us, because after the break, Inej will share with you and me how she found help, how her life has now completely changed. Stay with us, please. We'll see you right after this.
Time is an illusion. There is only the now.
So now's a good time?
Oh.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
If it's in the cinema, it's in On Screen. On Screen on MyTV. Get all the recent news updates with France 24. Watch France 24 on MyTV. Football, football and football. More football than ever. Championships and Bundesliga legends are closer than you think with Kickoff. Watch Kickoff on MyTV. Latest digital inventions, cyber concerns and much more uncovered in Shift. Everything you need to know about the modern digital world. Watch Shift on MyTV.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, if you just joined us, our topic is, why do bad things happen to me? And before the break, we heard Inez's story of all the bad, negative things that happened to her. So Inej, welcome back. You're going to share with us now how faith helped you. Please describe again the things that happened to you. You were sexually abused as a 7-year-old?
Yeah.
It led to you having grudges and anger against your abuser. You used to he listened to voices?
Yeah.
What else?
See shadows, severely depressed and very fearful of the dark and quite anxious.
Right.
Yeah.
And also these thoughts, right? You were attracted to females as well. So lots of things that were happening to you. You were confused.
Yeah.
Tell us how faith helped you in all this, because you don't experience any of these things anymore, right?
Yeah.
Which is proof, Pastor Carlos, before she said, gives her story, is proof that there are things that when they're ongoing, there's a spiritual root, right?
Mm-hmm. And in her case, one bad thing after another kept happening to her. And definitely there is a spiritual force there. One very important point, Pastor Michael, I was thinking about, because she was also going to church. Actually, she grew up in church, which this shows that it's not the church, it's not a church, right? That's a place of worship, or the place that she goes that is going to change her life.
Just
because she grew up in a church. She grew up in following her faith, but obviously not practicing. Probably there was some issues in the family, which I don't know exactly, but the moment that, and that's what we are going to see from now, because the moment that she decided to, she understood that she had to use her faith against that spiritual problem, because a spiritual problem needs to be tackled with a spiritual weapon as well.
Now you're nodding your head as Pastor Carlos says. Can you agree with everything that he said?
Absolutely.
Now tell us then, so you grew up in a church, right? You were, do I take it was your family's church or something like that?
Mum's church.
You were going to your mum's church, okay. Tell us, did you find another place, or was it there that you went back for help? What happened?
It was there where I actually found the help that I needed, and deep inside I really wanted, because I've spent so many years thinking, you know what, I'm just going to deal with it, I'm going to handle it my way, and it didn't work. So I attended the meeting, and literally the pastor was just saying things like he knew my whole story. So I started to see, wow, okay.
Which is a sign that he's heard people who've gone through the same thing before. Right? And obviously he knows there's a solution to it. So he's mentioning these things to you, and you're like, wow, how does he know my life?
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then he mentions forgiveness, and that was already a touchy subject for me. So I was like, no, completely no. And then I really took it on board, and I was about to, really seek help on the day there and then, but I didn't. So I went home, and I really had the message inside of my mind thinking, okay, I need to forgive, and I need to speak about the truth. That was ringing
in your ears?
It wouldn't leave.
It wouldn't leave?
Would not leave.
And you can see, forgive who or what? It was the first thing that actually happened in your life, which was being abused by a family member. So it's going back to the root. I need to forgive this person. So when you heard that and it was ringing in your ears, did you get the courage? Were you able to forgive that person?
No, not on the spot. It took quite a bit of time, but I had to learn that it wasn't a feeling that was going to come, that was going to make me feel empowered and just forgive on that moment. I really had to just, in my mind, I had to say, I'm just going to forgive, because this person just is living their life. I'm now living mine. I'm the one who's not being able to sleep at night. I'm the one who's kind of losing hair over this situation that happened, 10 years ago. And for me to hear that all I had to do was forgive and my life would move forward was kind of unbelievable. And then I did eventually do it. I opened up as well to someone, the pastor, and I received the help that I needed. They told me to also speak to my mother about it, which was really hard. But because I knew that I wanted this change to happen as soon as possible, I spoke to my mum and the truth came out. We resolved the matter, and it was very difficult, and it was also almost very awkward because she kind of started to adapt this mentality of, how come I didn't see this? I'm her mum. How come? What was I doing?
She started to blame herself.
Exactly.
Right.
And I had to also forgive her because I started to develop thoughts before that, it's my mum. How could she not understand and realize this is happening? She didn't realize that her daughter changed, And then I started to continue to attend the meetings, and I was really inspired, and I thought, okay, what the pastor's saying is actually working for me. So as I saw results from telling the truth, I continued to put the messages into practice. I started to let go of the fear that I had of the dark. So I started to actually go to bed. I used to pray before I go to bed, and I used to turn off the light. And then there'll be a desire inside of me to just, watch something before I go to bed, because I always used to have the TV on whilst I was sleeping as well. So then one night I just decided, okay, I'm going to turn off the light, I'm going to turn off the TV, and I'm just going to sleep. It was very hard. I didn't sleep for until, 20 minutes or so. I made one prayer and I said, I'm going to bed and I'm going to sleep with peace. And I did. And all that because I was inspired by the meetings that I was receiving at the place of worship.
So this fear of this thing underneath your bed, and you said you heard voices and hands touching you, all of that stopped. Literally, everything stopped. So you saw your faith now working for you, right? What else? What other changes did you see? We don't have much time there, but what else did you see happen to you?
I started to see that a lot of opportunities began to open for me. So in school, I wasn't the most studious child. Like, you would never find me with a book in my hand. I wasn't the one. But then I started to really think, okay, now I've kind of moved forward spiritually. I'm better mentally. Let me start to develop other areas of my life. So in my education, I started to, work hard, and I am now in the university that I wanted to go to. And I've now kind of started my own business, and also just my relationship with my parents is so much better now. Yes. And I never would have imagined, like, for me to be able to communicate with my mum the way that I do now, like, compared to how I was maybe, 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's been an immense change in my life.
And just to remind us, how old are you now?
I'm 18.
Only 18?
Yeah.
Still young?
Yeah.
Right? Enjoying life. You've gone through, what people go through maybe in a lifetime. You've gone through at such a young age, but it's like you're living life now. You have peace.
Yeah.
Right? Never forget what you've gone through, because you can help other people. Okay? Especially people, your story is going to help other people who are watching this program today. Okay? Thank you very much for coming and sharing your story with us. All right?
Thank you for having me.
Pastor Carlos, another person who has received help through the power of faith.
Because she used her faith, because finally she understood she had to seek for spiritual help, because her problem definitely was a spiritual problem.
Yes.
And then obviously a lot of good things started happening, just like bad things were happening before, because that's what the negativity does, right? One bad thing after another. But then when she starts using this positive thing, which is called faith, because faith works for both sides, both for positive but also for negative. But she started using it in a positive way, seeking help from the real source that can help her. Yeah. And then finally she got the help.
If you want this same help, if you want to reverse the cycle of negative things that happen in your life, then stay with us, because after the break, we are going to pray as Inej learns to pray, to rid herself of all of her problems. Stay with us, because we'll be saying this prayer right after this break.
The matters of the heart are the most bothersome.
We like to explore in details what people have been through, what couples have been through, so that we can highlight some points.
Learn to love intelligently. Watch Love Talk on MyTV. Meet the amazing SUV Jaguar, the stylish Fiat, a vintage VW, a sporty Honda, and the green smart ED. Drive it, test it, know it. We have cars for any taste. Explore vehicles and their features with our weekly show. Watch Drive It on MyTV.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort, and homework from you.
Watch The Chrissy B Show on MyTV.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, before we pray for you tonight, let's have a look at another testimony, someone who used their faith and achieved great results.
At the age of 15, I was in a relationship and I was abused. It seemed impossible for me to forgive him and also for me to start loving myself again. I started to hate him, and not only just hated him, I also started to hate myself. I didn't like who I was, I didn't know who I was, I didn't have an identity. And because of that, I started to have suicidal thoughts, and I began to change the outside appearance because I did not like what I saw in the mirror. So I began to shave my hair, and I also started to starve myself. And through this, I became more and more closed. I became very defensive, moody. Even at home, I wasn't a good role model at home. My relationship with my mother went from bad to worse. I started to blame her for what happened to me as well. And then after coming to the church, coming to the meetings and services, I learned how to build a relationship with God. And when learning to build a relationship with God, I learned how to love God. And after that, I decided to learn how to love myself. The more I began to love God, the more I began to love myself and who I was. After 4 years, I managed to forgive him and also to start loving myself. And today I'm happy.
So there you have it. And Pastor Carlos, you know what? I just want to get straight to the point tonight. Some people may think what they're going through is just life, it's just bad luck. But I want to go deeper than that. I want to say, if you've seen, this person has seen a pattern of negative things happening, then I will use this word, their life is cursed. And that's what it is. Cursed means, repetitive, negative things that take place no matter what. No matter what they try to do, they'll never find a solution unless they use their faith in God.
Yes, and the only thing that we know by experience all these years helping people like the young lady Ines, who broke this curse. She broke this pattern, this negative thing that kept happening in her life, though she was very young, she was a child, but the curse was broke when she finally used her faith.
Yeah. So it's not bad luck, because if you say there's bad luck, then there's good luck. When is your luck going to turn? And all you've been doing is waiting, hoping for the turn to take place, but maybe it's never taken place. The only way that your life can change is through faith. And we're going to pray right now for you. If you can't sleep, you've tried every medication underneath the sun. You've tried physical activities to tire yourself out, for example. You're having those thoughts, those suicidal thoughts, and they're not going away. They're just getting worse, to the point where you've contemplated and probably attempted to take your own life. What do you do now? This is not normal. This is not life. God, He wants to give you peace. The peace that Ines has today at 18 years old. She's going to help other people. She can probably help you now with her experience. She can tell you how faith worked for her. And maybe you're in your 40s, your 50s, and you're going through the same thing, but you haven't discovered what she has discovered. Well, we're going to pray right now with you. We're going to pray on your behalf. We're going to consult God now. But if you want our help, then join us for this prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer concerning your family and loved ones, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
Our Heavenly Father, in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus, we we join faith together with all these viewers right now. People, my Father, whom we know, many of them, they have been going exactly through similar problem or similar situations like these testimonies that we've been showing here, people who have been hearing voices, people, as it has been mentioned here, my Lord, people who have even attempted suicide. Even now, they've been contemplating, they've been thinking about, taking their own lives. But Lord, here we are, and I'm sure that you are using this program, this TV program, to bring the solution to them. Because just like these testimonies, like the testimony of this young lady, Inez, who found the solution, we know, my Father, that this person can also find. And let it be now, my God, through this prayer, whatever is the situation, whatever is the suffering, maybe this person is in pain right now, and though this person has been taking medications, taking so many things, has been going to different doctors, has been trying so many things, but up to now the pain, the problem is there. But you are the one, my Father, who can bring the solution. So do it right now. May you stretch out your hands, touch the life of this viewer, my Father. And as we pray here, my Lord, close to the cross which is a symbol of our victory. Bring victory, my Lord, to this person right now. Whatever is the negativity that has been there, may this negativity be rebuked. That's what we do right now, using our authority to rebuke all negativity, and we command this negativity to go, to leave this person's life. In the name of the Lord Jesus, be free, be blessed, receive your victory. Believe that the hands of the Almighty is touching you. So we declare that you are blessed. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
So, there you have it. One more life transformation, one more testimony. And it's not just for people who are in the Finding Answers studio. This prayer, I believe, has helped you. And if you want, please do email us. The email address on the screen. If you have been helped by any of the prayers that we've made for you here on Finding Answers every night, please contact us. You can send an email to myself, to Douglas, to Pastor David, right? And share with us the good news, okay? We would like to hear from you. Until the next time, have a wonderful night. God bless you.
This programme is brought to you by UCKG.